Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. Today we have the awesome Kevin Kay with us. Hi, Kevin, how are you?
I am well, thank you, and thanks again for the opportunity to be on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I know you've got your own show too. So, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, here in the States, but I have traveled and lived in not only Atlanta, Houston, Nashville, and now I've been in Detroit here since 1993.
So, tell us what you do over there.
Well, right now I have two of my own companies, the Entertainment Sponsorship Group, which is a brand partnership and sponsorship consultancy. So I work with the independent music community, TV and film, to teach them and show them how to go out and secure corporate sponsorships. And I also have an artist management company, which I am right now kind of pivoting a little bit, working more towards consulting artists, working with artists, because I want to help as many. And I have, managed acts before, and, that's really consuming.
Yeah,
So in order for me to help more people, I'm working from as more of a consultant and on certain projects. So say if an artist needs a marketing plan put together, well, I could do that for them. So
I really
that's
like
that's
that
that's really what I'm doing.
you've diversified your income streams, and it also sounds like obviously managers do a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and they don't often get paid. So, is that a way for you to actually sustain your income and get paid?
It's one way for sure. Look, the big management companies have, big artists that, drive revenue and keep everything going, and that gives them the opportunity to take on newer acts
Yes.
that might be starting out. But for me, the most important thing was being able to help as many people as possible.
So
That's why I made the decision to pivot. And that's why, even with the entertainment sponsorship group, to go from taking on clients to go out and help them get sponsors, which I do occasionally, depending on the projects. If I really am, passionate about someone's project, I will take them on as a client. But I believe that knowing how to go out and get brand sponsors is a skill set that everybody in the music community, TV and film should learn. And that's why I decided to do what I'm doing and want to teach and help um, and let them learn that skill set.
I love that, Kevin, because not many people are teaching that, and it's such an important part of making an income as well now. It's very competitive. We've got streaming and we've got other services that are not paying the artist like they used to. So is there
Well,
any way for that to happen?
well, yeah. And look, if you're an independent artist in today's world, you have got to have a really good understanding of the business side of it,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't need to be signed to a label.
Hmm.
You can have a sustainable and viable career doing nothing but music, but you've got to dedicate, yourself to learning the business, which is a very complex industry.
Is
It's about building relationships, building contacts,
yeah.
and you really need to be able to, manage your time, putting in the, time to learn about the business part of it, but also be the creator. So I understand that's a tough act to juggle. And look, I was in bands at first too, trying to get signed just like everybody else, made the decision it wasn't going to happen,
Right.
and turned my focus towards the business side of it.
Yes.
So, for me, I made it. I've worked for the biggest record companies in the world in my 30-year
Gee,
career.
yeah.
I started my career at Chrysalis Records. I've worked at Polydor Records. I've been at the Polygram Label Group, Island Records, V2 Records with Richard Branson when he started that new label up, Mercury Records. I've been at DreamWorks Records, Virgin Records, and Sony Music Nashville.
Wow, you've been everywhere. So that's a lot of experience you picked up along the way as well.
Well, yeah, and you pick up, interesting information, and it's experience that, you garner. So when I look at being able to help other artists, my experience, there's so much I can pull from.
Yeah.
And, I've also taught at the college level here. I ran a music business and entrepreneurship department for a music college here. I've been on the agency side working on big global international music projects for General Motors and Clearwire Communications, so I understand, that aspect of it, and being a musician, I've been in their shoes. I know what's happening, but in today's world, which is totally different, you can build a career. And it's one of the things that we're doing now here in Detroit. Myself and three other friends and colleagues from the music industry are starting a new company called the Detroit Music Collective.
Yeah.
And that company is going to be the epicenter here in Detroit for independent artists and young industry professionals who want to build their careers. Because if you're an independent artist, there's no place to go to for help here you
Network.
know. So, this is a four different divisions within the company. It's going to be music, business, and entrepreneurship education is the foundation of everything that we do. So we're actually going to take an entire 4-year college curriculum, transpose that down to certificate courses because we want people to get through these in 6 to 8 weeks. We are going to have those courses accredited. And, we've also formed an alliance with the University of Michigan and the Ross School of Business here to help us on the entrepreneurship side as well.
Yeah.
Division two is our artist development and artist management, mentoring and coaching division, where we're also going to be bringing in so many other record company executives who we worked with over the years to be mentors and coaches for artists and industry professionals. And if we see an act that we truly believe in, then we will sign them to a management agreement and we'll help manage them.
Sounds like a great deal, doesn't it?
And that's so Division three, there's
Yeah.
four divisions to this company. Division three is our record label, which is going to be a collaborative and cooperative label where all artists signed to the label are going to share in the profits of the label, which
Yeah.
is not done. All the artists are going to work to market each other regardless of genre, because what we're trying to do is build a true community
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a page out of Motown Records and put our own artists on the road together.
I like that.
So, so
Great.
that's Division three. Division four is our live event and brand and entertainment division, where we're going to be putting on our own events, be it concerts, be it scripted entertainment, unscripted entertainment, and it's all going to be live streamed on platforms. So think of it as a television network with different channels, but it's all going to be live streamed. We're going to be working with big brands to help them build entertainment initiatives as well and be able to hopefully incorporate a lot of the independent artists and their music into some of the big brand activations and commercials, which is sorely needed. So a brand doesn't necessarily always have to, spend millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars licensing the big hits. There's great music out there. Problem being, they don't really have people out there looking for it. So here in Detroit, well, we've already been meeting with the ad agencies and the marketing companies, and we want everyone to know that when we open our doors, you can come to us. If you're
Like,
looking for specific music, you're looking for specific artists, we will be that epicenter for everything.
nice. I really like the idea behind this. It sounds like it's going to be awesome when you get it all up and running.
We're excited, and then phase two, once we get that up and going, is that we're going to create our own artist village and creative campus with affordable housing for artists, interspersed with recording studios, podcast studios, just a really creative, and it's going to be a neighborhood, right? So that's what we want to be able to attract artists back to Detroit.
Yeah.
We have seen too many artists leave Detroit
Yeah.
once they give them any momentum because they don't feel that the infrastructure is here anymore
I totally
you
understand.
know,
Yeah.
once Motown Records left, that kind of went away.
Right.
When Motown Records was here, artists from all over the world moved here, recorded,
Mhm.
wrote, collaborated, performed in hopes of getting signed to Motown Records.
Right.
We have such great talent here, and we're seeing way too many artists leave because they'll leave for Nashville, LA, New York, London, Berlin, wherever, Toronto, because they don't feel that there's anything here to keep them, and that's wrong.
It's totally wrong, actually. And I'm glad you're addressing that and saving Detroit because Detroit's been around for so long. It's
Right.
a
Yep.
legacy, hasn't it? We can't lose that.
No, and the talent here is really unbelievable.
Yeah.
And So that's why we're doing all four of us that are starting this company. We've all been in the industry for well over 30 years at high levels, working for major record companies. So, our team is super strong. We understand. And for us, all of us are at a point in our career now, it's like we want to give back. We want to help. We believe this is the best way for us to do that because if we can help an artist build their career where they're doing nothing but music and not have to worry about two or three part-time jobs,
Yeah,
that's a huge success.
isn't it? That's lovely. I love that. And tell us a little bit more about the brand partnerships. What is it brands are looking for these days? A lot of things are changing, it's ever evolving. There are new courses coming along all the time. How do they work? What is the keys that you need to know about them?
You know, each each brand is different because you never know until you start having conversations with them what their initiatives and objectives are for the year.
Okay.
Some brands, as I always, teach people and even the clients that I've had in the past, it's what might look good on paper, like, wow, this company is a perfect fit for what we're doing.
Mm.
What might look good on paper might not work because that's not the objective of the company for this year,
And the
right? So each
yeah,
each part is so different, and that, you've got to have an understanding that not everybody, just because you're so excited about maybe this perfect partnership, and it might not work
yeah,
just because, that's not what they're looking for, or you might not be an artist that aligns with their brand identity,
right.
right? So, it's like I tell people all the time, you know, e- building your brand
Yeah.
as an artist is hugely important if you believe that you want to try to bring in brand partners.
And is it
For
your,
instance, your communications,
yeah,
anything you do in social,
yeah,
even the font of your logo. If somebody can't read it or if it's too crazy, right? And you think that you might want to go to, a brand that doesn't go down that avenue. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head here. So, Pepsi's pretty safe, right? Brands be very protective of their identity, so they're not going to go after some death metal band.
okay.
Okay, let's just use that as an example. All
Really?
right, and there's nothing,
No,
Cannibal Corpse is from Buffalo, and they're one of the best, death metal bands out there.
yeah,
But, they're not going to have an alignment with some other brands just because it's not a fit, even though maybe, a death metal band might love that brand and use their products or services, but that alignment's not going to be there.
right.
So there's a lot that goes into everything before you even start to think about contacting a brand.
Yeah, like I've just set up the new Global Trans Charter actually, and we're looking for support on that one. So I'm thinking, like, obviously, we support trans and non-binary communities in music and accessing that and educating people. So for us, it's really about, inclusion and making sure that people have a chance. And I think
Yeah.
it's kind of what you're saying and building that community, but from a grassroots level, because we're not that big and we're doing it on a global scale rather than just in one country, because we believe in collaborations and international networks. So I've done a lot of talks in different countries and built those networks from meeting people, like you said. I think it's
And that's part of the education process to educate these brands and these
yeah,
companies out there about all of this. And that takes time, as you
uh,
know.
be very patient.
There's two statements that I came up with when I first got into my career that I've really followed and truly believe that it will equal success. Frequency breeds familiarity,
Okay.
consistency breeds credibility.
Oh, I like that. Oh,
And over time, I've added a few words, patience, because
mhm.
in today's world, when everything is moving so fast and everyone wants everything today,
Yeah,
patience is hugely important,
yeah,
and creativity,
absolutely.
because and I believe that will equal success in everything that you do, not just in this industry, but
Thank you.
especially when it comes to marketing, because it takes time before people really start to understand things. So frequency, familiarity, the more you do it, the more familiar people get with it. If you consistently do that same thing, your credibility starts to rise.
Yeah, and believe in what you do, I think is also another thing. Like you said, it's just not going to happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. And, just follow your heart, because that's what I always do.
Yeah.
And things from my heart. And that was another thing I wanted to think about. And it goes kind of with the marketing, because I did marketing myself, and that's super crucial now in music, to get the right audience and to know who they are and how you're going to reach that audience. So what kind of tips and
Right.
advice would you give to an artist that's just starting out and they want to market themselves in the right ways?
Well, really, it's about understanding who they are as an artist first and foremost,
Yeah,
right? Starting to build their brand, like what is their vision of who they want to be as an artist,
yeah,
musically, but then not just musically, but the way they want to communicate to people, do they
listen,
have an understanding of the music that they're doing and the type of, audience that it's going to, reach with and really, bring in.
yeah,
Then it's about building your brand with your logo, all of those assets that go into it, right? And then, and I used to say this on the first day of every semester when I taught the very first class. And I would always ask an artist, what is your definition of success in this industry?
I've been asked that quite a few times and I still struggle to answer it.
It's a tough question. A lot of people have never been asked that question.
It
And
changes.
you really need to understand what your definition of success is. And, as I would, there'd always be silence because these kids, and you're a freshman in college, they never asked themselves that question, nor did anyone ever ask them that question. So I'd break the ice and say, look, if your definition of success is to be this big global superstar,
Well, I do want to be. I do want to be.
selling out arenas, doing all that.
That's not easy.
Awesome.
That is my dream.
I'm here to help any which way I can. I would tell them I'm there. I'm cheering for you. I'll help you. I go, but I I deal in reality. I don't mince words. I'm not a shuck and jive guy. I'm very open, honest, and transparent.
Just
And I
good.
would say, look, less than 1% of
Mhm.
all artists around the world ever get to that point.
Correct. And it takes
Not to
well.
say, not to say that you can't,
Yeah.
just know that's the reality.
Mhm.
And okay, the competition to get there is fierce. I would tell everyone, look around this room because it starts here in this room. Now multiply that by every artist in Detroit. Multiply that by every artist in the state of Michigan. Multiply that by every artist in the United States. And because once you put your music online, in today's world, you're an international artist, multiply that by every artist in the world. So if less than 1% ever make it to that pinnacle, you got to have a great plan in place.
Right.
But that's not to say that if you don't get there that you're a failure because I've had friends who've been signed to major labels.
Yeah.
It never really worked out.
Mhm.
One some of my friends in particular, they were signed to a major label. After 3 years, it didn't work out. They moved back here to Michigan, and that's when I first met them when they moved back. And I have known them now for well over 30 years. They continue to put out their own music. They
Right.
still perform. They have all created ancillary revenue streams within what they do.
Yeah.
And each guy in that band makes about $100,000 a year doing nothing but music,
And they wouldn't
which to
be doing that with
me is a great living.
brilliant.
That's a
Brilliant.
huge success.
Yeah.
That's a great success story. Think about it. They're making a lot more money doing it on their own, the way they've been doing it, and they were signed to a major label and it never happened.
Got their rights as well now. They own the rights, right?
Yeah.
So
They're brilliant guys. I mean, they just, so it can be, they built a viable and sustainable career after all these years, taking care of their families, doing nothing but music, never having to work another job.
do you know what else I really like as well, but people don't really often talk about? And it's about having a persona and a personality. Not many people talk about that, but being an artist, you need to have that too, right?
Yeah.
To have those skills, you need to have the people skills. Like there's so many artists that I look at, and it's kind of like I think they forget about that side of it. When you're an artist, you still have to have that persona and that personality and that likability. How important is
It's hugely important. It's all part of, eh, being, and that's really understanding who you are as a person first and foremost, right? An artist is, that doesn't define you.
it? Hmm.
Your definition of you is you, right?
The
Being an
people.
artist, you can say that's kind of my job, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
but that doesn't define you. And you can't let that ego bleed in to become who you are. And that's, I think, where we see too many problems, not only in music, but film, television.
Yeah.
The ego takes over, and that's really sometimes not who that person truly is.
But that's not very healthy, is it? So it's making sure you're aware of that before, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've been around the biggest stars in the world, and I've never been, starry-eyed or googly-eyed at all because I'd
Exactly.
always look at it as like they're people.
Exactly.
They're no different than you and I, except for two things. They make a hell of a lot more money than
That's
I did,
yeah.
and the press has put them into onto this celebrity stage. Those are the only two differences between us, right? If I pinch an artist and if I pinch you, it's going to feel the same, right? No different. They're
Yeah.
they're they're not above us. They're
No.
not below us, right? We're people first and foremost, and that's, you want to talk about equality. Well, this industry needs to take a closer look,
Yeah.
and I'm not a big proponent of this whole, celebrity or, title stage anymore in life because that's got to stop,
Yeah.
I
I
think.
think it is stopping slowly. As we've got TikTok and all these other little platforms, I think artists are not becoming those global stars anymore. You get more one-hit wonders and people come and go more. I don't see those legacy artists like we used to have them. I
Well,
don't.
I think, yeah, the legacy artists are tough to come by because there's so much more music today than there ever was.
Right.
And, at a click on your phone, you have access to so much music. When before the digital age or before any of that, the only music you ever really knew was what you heard on the radio,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And what you heard on the radio really were all the big stars that were being signed to the major labels and what you saw in the record stores.
Yeah.
Other than that, you really didn't know much.
Yeah, it's become very decentralized now, hasn't it? I think that's also part of the problem where the music industry has become less centralized. That now
Yeah.
we can make
The
music.
competition, the competition is enormous.
Yeah,
I mean, when there are 100,000 new songs being uploaded to Spotify a day,
that's crazy, isn't it?
so if you're a new artist and you're going to put your music on Spotify and you get upset because you can't get any traction, I'm like, well, what marketing are you doing? Because
You're not getting paid.
right that day there were 999,000 other songs
Mm.
put up there a
Yes,
day.
yeah, and that's not where you get your money from in streaming. It's very, very
Oh,
poor, isn't it? Even for songwriters, it's just not. This is where I look at the music industry and think, okay, a lot's changed, but how do you use it strategically? Those changes to use it to your benefit. So you
oh
have
yeah, look, it's a tool,
yeah,
okay? It shouldn't be your sole focus
yeah,
because an artist also needs to understand they're a business.
yes,
They need to set them up, they need to set themselves up as a business legally, and they need to approach it like a business. And that's why the education piece, why we believe the foundation of what we're going to do with the Detroit Music Collective, music business education, is the foundation. If you want to be able to grow your career, you are a business owner.
yeah.
But I talk to so many artists who never file an LLC or create a corporation. They have no idea
Yeah, it's
what
not.
what that is. And I'm like, you got to do that.
Yeah,
It's really important. You're a business person.
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I do the podcast. I write books. I write songs. I've written for musical plays. I'll do anything that comes, and I'm even looking at the sync stuff now because I think that's really important too.
Yeah,
The revenue stream where you can actually make a sustainable income or thrive. You know, try and survive and thrive, should we say? But knowing
yeah.
those things in the first place is really important.
I mean, that's a huge amount when you think about all the films that are out there, the TV shows, anything, if you can build a relationship, right, with a music director at these, publishing companies or the sync companies out there, and that's a big part of this industry is building relationships, knowing how to network.
Yes.
It's one thing I see with young artists today, they do not know how to network. Oh my gosh,
Good at
I
that.
can hand out I
Good.
can hand out my business card. Look, you can go onto my websites. All my contact information is there. I'm an open book.
Forty
But I
chair.
can't tell you how many times I meet somebody and they never follow up.
Yeah, that's
I'm
terrible.
like, why would you not want to continue the conversation we had and build a relationship with me? I'm giving you permission once I give you my contact information, I'm giving you permission to contact me.
Really kind as well. Thank you. And just thank you for your expertise. Like everything you said has been awesome. You've been through 30 years of the music industry. What have been your highs and lows, your major wins and successes?
Ugh, well, let's see. I mean, like with anything in life, I think finding my way was one of my biggest successes because when I first made the decision to stop playing and go to the business side. I went back to school because I was a little bit older. I already had 2 degrees. I was thinking of going to law school. So I had my pre-law degree and then I got my paralegal degree and I was working in law firms as a paralegal to understand because then I thought, well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to law school
It's just interesting.
because it was a big commitment. And working as a paralegal or a legal assistant gave me the chance to do a lot of the work that an attorney does. You don't get paid like an attorney, but I could see would I like this? And then I felt if I made the decision to go to law school, I would be better prepared than somebody just going into it without the experience that I had.
Yeah.
But I made a decision, no, it wasn't for me. I wanted to get into the business part of it. So I went back to school and then got my degree in music and entertainment management and,
Wow.
started, as an assistant at Chrysalis Records. But when that went away, I started taking some interviews. And um, the very first interview I had with a senior vice president of a major record company, at the end of an interview, he said to me, "You are by far the best interview I've ever had in my entire career."
It's nice.
So I'm sitting there across from him thinking, I got this job. And he leans over, he goes, But you know what? I'm not going to hire you.
Oh, because I got something better up my sleeve.
He goes, You're just too nice to do this line of work.
Hmm.
And I was floored, number one, devastated. But I walked out of there thinking to myself, you know what? I will find my way being who I am. I
Yeah.
don't need to be a shuck and jive goof ass like so many people back then in the music industry
Oh,
were. And
wow.
I said, I'm just going to be me. I'll be a good guy and I'll find my way. And lo and behold, here I am, well over 30 years later. I found my way and I've been privileged. I've worked, in some of the most incredible places, had an opportunity that most people never do because this is such a closed-knit fraternity. It's so hard to crack into this fraternity. But once you do crack it, you're in for life.
Yeah, that's what you want though. That's if you want to have I think if you work so hard, that's what you want. You want to do it for the rest of your life. You
Yeah.
want to just do it and then walk out. I wouldn't want to do that. Do you know what I mean?
No, you find what you love, and I'm a true believer in constant learning. I am constantly reading, constantly trying to understand because this industry changes on the business side daily,
It
like
does
daily. I don't know about you, but I subscribe to so many new, music industry news things. I get inundated every single day. A lot of times I can't read everything.
all the time.
I
So
you know I get my daily updates from music business worldwide, and I
yeah,
scroll through it quickly, like, oh my gosh, I got to read this article, I got to read this one, and I'll save it, but then I never get to it.
I
It's
was on this
crazy.
bonds one where they're investing all the money into bonds so they can make sure that the music keeps growing. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then I just came off of it. Just little things here and there. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you gotta stay on top of things. You really do, and I understand that's hard for an artist. It really is. That time management balance,
yeah.
it is really, really tough.
It is. I end up doing day and night sometimes, and it's hard to stop something you love. But sometimes I have to say to myself, do you know what? You need a bit of your own time. And that's
Yeah.
where creation and my creativity, my songwriting, because I think that gets it out, some of that release. I don't know, it's brilliant. It's like a medicine. Music is my medicine. It's a medicine to my soul.
There you go. It's the great connector, as I always say,
Certainly is.
to the
So
world.
thank you. So how could people connect with you, find out more about your work? They want to come and join and enroll. Where could they find you, chat with you?
You can go to either of my websites, www.entertainmentsponsorshipgroup.com
Yes.
or www.k2artistmgmt.com. So my contact information is on both websites. So K2 Artist Management or the Entertainment Sponsorship Group. Yeah, I mean, if anyone's listening and wants to have a conversation, reach out. I'm open. I talk to everybody. I mean, I'm a big believer in starting a conversation because you never know what's going to happen, right? And it's even I made that promise to myself when I got into the business side. Two promises. I always said to myself, I will always listen to someone's music when they give it to me
Okay.
because I was once that artist trying to get people to listen, right? And so hard. And most people, will take your tape, but back then you take a tape and most of the time they throw it in the garbage. Well, I made a promise to never do that. I would always listen because I always looked at it like, you never know what's on that. That could be the next biggest thing. I gotta listen to it. And, the other part of it is, doing that, but then always talking to somebody
Yes.
because it's so hard to build a relationship and network with people. So, when I first got into this industry, and it's so funny because if you got somebody's business card, you'd have to go home, type up a letter on a typewriter,
Oh, right.
put it
Yeah.
in an envelope, mail it, take it to the post office. It takes, 5 days in
Yeah.
hopes that they get it, right? And then you got to try to follow up. In today's world, it's so much easier.
So much
So,
easier, isn't it?
if people want to talk with me, I'm willing to talk to everybody.
That is.
That's just something I've always done.
Well, I've written 8 demos. They're probably not going to be for me, but I don't mind collaborating and sharing them with other artists as well. But I'm also trying to do my own music, so I'm working on that as well. So I'll send you some of my bits.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yeah, and thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're an absolute star. Sorry for the mix-up, but I'm glad you
Oh,
came along.
oh, good. Oh, good. Thank you for staying up late.
You know me, I do anything for the love of music. And thanks. I'll speak to you soon.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity again.
Pleasure.